and welcome back for finally another edition of Steve's Reading, the first of the 2017 season. I thought I would begin off this year with a topic that I have to focus on more in my coming future because schools are emphasizing it, and also because Wheezy Waiter Craig Benzine tweeted a question a few weeks back asking about any nonfiction works that anyone would recommend. And to be honest, nonfiction is not an area that I have focused on nearly as much as I have the worlds of fiction. It's equally, of course, varied. There are a lot of different types of nonfiction writing, from biographies and autobiographies and memoirs to how-to books, historical books, all kinds of things. And so, yeah, during this coming year, it is one area where I hope to find more examples of good, engaging writing. And so if you know any of your favorite nonfiction pieces that you have enjoyed reading, please let me know down in the comments or tweet at me someplace. I got a half dozen or so here that I would like to introduce to you that I have enjoyed over the years. And the first one, with the inauguration of our new president-elect coming, let's not get into that right now, but a good question, a good issue to examine that was covered very well quite a while ago by E.J. Dionne, Why Americans Hate Politics. And it basically boils down to a question of false choices and thinking that things have to be either one way completely or the other way completely. And E.J.'s main theory in this book is that no, there are middle grounds, places we can compromise and find either some kind of compromise that works in the middle, or sometimes a third option not to be decided by one polar opposite or the other. This was really critical in the 1992 election from Bill Clinton's campaign. They developed a lot of their thinking around this book, so it's still very valid reading. I highly recommend E.J. Dionne's Why Americans Hate Politics. Secondly, a more light-hearted reading, although the title might sound kind of heavy, from A.J. Jacobs, The Year of Living Biblically. And it's just what it sounds like. For 1 year, A.J. tried to live as closely as he could, adhering to every precept, every direction given in the Bible. I think he spent 6 months living according to the Old Testament and then 6 months according to the New Testament. It's just a fascinating read that is at the same time both humorous and enlightening and inspiring, because of course there are lots of rules that just don't seem to work really well in the 20th century, but there were also a lot of surprises about things that did seem to work well and gave him pause for thought, and I think it will give you pause for thought at the same time that it is extremely entertaining. A.J. Jacobs, The Year of Living Biblically will make you laugh and cry and think and all those good things. One that just will make you cry and think, Dave Cullen's Columbine. And this is, for me, the definitive discussion of that tragedy. But one of the things that you will learn most about this is not as much about school shootings and students being bullied and things like that, although there's a lot of that in here, and issues of guns and weapons and violence, but as important as all the issues behind it, the question of how the news media works and news cycles, and how the public's image of any situation tends to freeze at a certain point when the next crisis or tragedy or just big occurrence takes over the news cycle. And so this is highly recommended for all the reasons. It does a great job examining the tragedy at Columbine, but also touches on bigger issues. That's Dave Cullen's Columbine. That's very heavy, something that's lighter, but at the same time brings up some important issues. Bill Bryson's A Walk in the Woods. An old guy who decides he's been sitting around the house too much, getting too sedate and too civilized, decides to walk the Appalachian Trail. There is a movie version of this, which is pretty good, but the book, of course, is that much better and richer, and so it's a fun read. If you enjoy nature and the environment and thinking about what we're doing in the world today, Bill Bryson's A Walk in the Woods, highly recommended. And one that I haven't read that I'm looking forward to, I picked this up at the library and I think it looks great, The Lady and Her Monsters. And you can see it says here, a tale of dissection, real-life Dr. Frankenstein, and the creation of Mary Shelley's masterpiece. This is by Roseanne Montijo. I love stories about early science, the people that developed, the initial first steps in what have grown to be such technological, amazing discoveries that we live with today. But when you think about Frankenstein in the early days, I mean, early days of surgery, they just blow your mind, both in the intellectual genius, the bravery of the people that took place, but also how did they begin to do any of that stuff and think that it would be possible. And so how that turned into Dr. Frankenstein and what Mary Shelley did with it, I'm really curious to see. I've not read this yet. I will give you a follow-up once I have, but I think it looks really interesting. The book I'm already reading right now is Lab Girl by Hope Jahren. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but it's a bit of a memoir about her life in science. She's a botanist, lives and works in a lab in Hawaii, and how her life in science has been evolving. And it's really interesting, a lot of insight into botany. I'm not a huge botany fan or devotee, but she makes it very accessible and interesting. So I'm enjoying this, Lab Girl, and I'm about halfway through this. So those are a few nonfiction books that I have read or plan to read and enjoy. Let me know, as I said, any books of nonfiction from any kind of type or genre that you can recommend. And also, let's see, last time I talked to you was just before Christmas, and then I got busy with vacation and things. We did have the holidays, and we did some gift giving. I gave my daughters some books. This first one, Mickey, some of you know, is a huge fan of Gravity Falls. And this book is the book from Gravity Falls, which I don't know too much about, but she's really enjoying it. There are stories and sort of puzzles and mysteries and things included in this book, so she's enjoying that. I got my other daughter, The Sun is Also a Star. Pick this up. It's an autographed copy from Nicola Yoon, and this has been highly recommended. I'm going to read it before my daughter gets to it, but I gave it to Leah Mulan. And both of my daughters, like many of you, like many people out there, these days are huge and devoted fans of Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton the Revolution. So I got I gave it to Leah Mulan, but Mickey is just as big a fan, and so they're enjoying paging through this and getting more background and more information about the musical. So nonfiction, I guess it's important. So let me know what suggestions you have for me down there, and until I get back again, hopefully next Friday, don't forget to be awesome, as we say in all our channels, and keep reading, okay? Bye, till then.